Right, guys, I'm going to be straight with you from the jump. I'm not a coach, I'm not a consultant, I'm a video production studio owner who's been in the trenches for over a decade. Every dollar that I've made, every single dollar, has come from running an actual video production studio. Not from selling courses, not from masterminds, but from doing the actual work. And here's why that matters to you. If you're running a production studio right now and you're somewhere in that 10 to 50K a month range, you've probably noticed something very frustrating. There's no shortage of people willing to sell you their system or their course or their blueprint. But when you dig into their background, you realize that most of them haven't actually built what you're trying to build. Or they did and it was years ago and the landscape has completely changed. And that pisses me off. I think if you're going to teach someone how to do something, you should have recent, relevant proof that you're actually doing it yourself or you can do it yourself. When I was coming up, I didn't have that person. I didn't have anyone to learn from. No mentors in the industry, no one I could call when I hit a wall. So I figured out the expensive way, through trial and error, through mistakes that cost me time and money. But eventually we cracked the code and built something that works. And now we work with major brands and generate consistent seven-figure revenue. The reason I'm doing it now is because I want to help other studios avoid the years of struggle that I went through. So let me guess where you are right now. Like me, you probably started because you were passionate about the work. You love the creative process and you love bringing ideas to life on screen. But somewhere along the way, you realized that being great at your craft doesn't automatically translate into running a profitable business. You're probably pulling 15, 25, maybe 40K a month, and you're exhausted. You're wearing every hat in your business. Shooting, editing, managing clients, handling admin, and chasing invoices. And here's the core issue. Most creative professionals are naturally wired to focus on the work itself and not the business infrastructure that comes along with it. And that's not a criticism. That's just reality. You got into this to create, not to build spreadsheets and optimize processes. But what happens is the business side gets neglected, and eventually you hit a wall where no amount of work can push past the certain revenue threshold. I hit that same wall. For years I was grinding, thinking that I just needed to work harder and things would scale, but they didn't. What changed everything wasn't working more hours, it was fundamentally rethinking how the business itself operated. And I made 3 changes on how I approached the business. And that's when we went from struggling to consistently hitting 6 figures a month, and then multiple 6 figures. It wasn't magic, it was strategic. So after a decade of building a business and working through every challenge you can imagine, I've identified 3 critical transitions that separate studios stuck under the 50K range to those scaling past 100K. These aren't abstract concepts, they're practical shifts that I made in my own business. First, transitioning from an operator to an owner. Second, prioritizing margin over quantity. And third, building an infrastructure instead of relying on effort. Let me walk you through each one and show you what it looks like in practice. The first transition is moving from an operator to being an owner. And here's what I mean. When you're personally executing every task in your business, you're not actually running a company. You're self-employed with extra steps. The breakthrough moment is when you recognize that your time has a ceiling on its value. And if you're spending hours editing footage, that's time you're not spending on activities that could actually bring in new clients or improve your business model. Now, I already know that some of you are probably thinking, nobody else can deliver the quality that I can. Nobody understands the vision like I do. I get it. I used to say the same thing. But here's the truth. There's incredibly talented people out there who can execute at a high level once you give them the direction. Probably higher than what you can. Every business that I've spoken with who has gone through this transition had the same sort of resistance. And every single time they came back wondering why they didn't do it sooner. You don't need to build this massive team overnight, but you do need to start identifying which tasks you can do versus which tasks someone else can handle with proper training. That distinction is everything. The second transition is about how you structure your project load. When you're at 20K to 40K a month range, there's a good chance that you're taking on a high volume of smaller projects. Maybe you're juggling 12, 15, even 20 projects a month at a lower price point. The shift is moving towards fewer projects at higher rates. Think about it this way. Would you rather deliver 15 projects at 2K or 5 projects at 6K? That's the same revenue, but in the second scenario, you've just freed up a massive amount of your time and mental bandwidth. And here's what most people don't realize. Premium clients are often easier to work with. They respect your expertise, they trust your judgment, and they're not micromanaging every decision. When you're working with a client who sees you as a strategic partner rather than a vendor, the entire dynamic changes. The work becomes more enjoyable, more profitable, and more sustainable, which is key. The third transition is the most important: building systems instead of relying on hustle. You can't grind your way to 100K a month. I've tried, it doesn't work, and you'll just burn out. What you need are repeatable systems that allow you to maintain quality without being personally involved in every single step. This means having a consistent way to attract and qualify leads, a production workflow that teams can execute independently, a delivery process that ensures client satisfaction every time, and financial systems that keep you profitable and informed. When we scaled from 0 to where we are now, it wasn't because I suddenly started working 80 hours a week. It was because we built a business that could function without me being the bottleneck. Most owners are approaching their business like a creative endeavor, but your business isn't a creative project. It's an operational system. You need to think less like an artist and more like an engineer, which is going to be quite hard to do to start with. The reason you're stuck isn't because you lack talent or work ethic. You're stuck because the infrastructure isn't there to support your growth. And nobody teaches you this stuff when you're first starting out. But once you understand it, once you see your business as a system that can be designed and optimized, everything else shifts. You stop being trapped by your business and start being empowered by it. You didn't mean to design a business that runs your life, but if that's where you are, there are ways to fix it. So what does this look like for you? Basically, I give production studio owners direct access to me through chat, voice notes, or whatever. We look at your actual numbers, examine your current systems, identify where the bottlenecks are, and then help you build a roadmap to where you want to go. I only work with a small number of clients at a time because I want to give each person real attention and real results. I'm not trying to build some massive coaching empire here. I'm trying to help people who are serious about growth and actually want to achieve it. And if this sounds like something you're interested in, DM me the word ready on Instagram and I'll send everything over and we can see if it makes sense to work together. But let me be clear about something. This is only for people who are ready to do the work. If you're looking for some shortcut or overnight solution, this is definitely not it. But if you're willing to be honest about where you are in your business, make some difficult changes, and actually implement what we develop together, then we should talk. Because I believe that you should be able to do the work that you love and build a business that's profitable and sustainable. And that's what I'm here to help you create.